Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? How is everyone? Cool. I want to get a bit of a read of the room. If you could raise your hand if you're in the influence marketing space, please. Okay. Raise your hand if you're not in the influence marketing space. Now keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. Drop your hand. No, keep your hand up if you wished you were in the influence marketing space. It is the sexiest market to be in. Okay, cool. I have this device here, familiar with myself, wicked. Today we'll be talking about influence, the currency of the community era. I'll be talking about what influence is, what the community era is, why now, and how you can drive it. We've got 4 sections. It's going to be a big context to who I am as well within this. Who is ThisThat? What's so special about their data? Second, we'll go into what is the community era and why is it transforming our whole marketing industry? Tectonic shift that is changing the whole $4 trillion economy. Why now? And then we'll double-click on influence and give you some learnings as to how you can drive that further. Are we ready? Cool. So who's ThisThat and what's so special about our data? We're the influencer measurement company. That's how most of our clients would describe us. Our mission is to prove and improve the power of influence. Measuring influence is the #1 problem in our space as well, and we're really trying to tackle that. If you look at the name ThisThat, actually, we didn't come about to try and solve this problem. We have somewhat had an unconventional journey that's led us here, which I'll unpack in a second. But the name ThisThat comes from a social media platform that we once were, 8 years ago. You used to swipe left for this, swipe right for that. Bit like a Tinder for, should I buy this shoe or that shoe? We managed to get a couple 100,000 people using the app every single day. It was a very exciting time. I thought we were going to be the next big social media platform. And then Instagram launched Instagram polls, and we realized that we're just a feature. And so we had to pivot. And in that time, we came across an influence marketing agency, and they asked us, could you guys do brand lift? I said, sure. What is brand lift? They said it was a survey-based methodology. I went, tick, cool, we're pretty good at that. They say you survey 2 audiences, one that have seen a campaign, one that have not seen a campaign. And you very much hope that those that have seen the campaign answer more favorably. They are more aware, more likely to consider, more likely to feel something, more likely to have a specific association anchored that you want for your brand, more likely to recommend. Whatever you want, you can ask the question and measure that. 4 years later, we're known as the brand lift authority inside influencer marketing. We have the largest, most trusted brand lift data set in the space, with over 6 million opinions directly from influencer communities. Having scale like this allows us to set the benchmarks so we can tell people what good is and what good isn't, or what isn't good. But also we can go deeper into that data and tell you guys some interesting stories and have conviction behind shifts in the industry, which I'll be unpacking today. We're also the growth partner. If anyone of our clients is in the room, please give a little bit of shout out. A bit louder, Marina. Our purpose is well beyond just being able to prove and improve the power of influence. Our purpose is to give brands the power to expand their story. And we're always looking to do better. We'll go into that a little bit now as well. What is brand lift? I just think it's good to give it more space to that. I kind of explained that a second ago. It's a survey-based methodology, 2 groups, one that have seen a campaign, one that have not seen it. You very much hope that those that have seen it answer more favorably in a survey. But why is it quite powerful? Why does the industry love it? It's existed for decades, so CMOs have benchmarks they can start comparing against. You can see how effective is influencer marketing versus TV, versus social, versus anything else. And that's been very powerful at helping move dollars from other channels into the influencer marketing space, and that's how we've been able to help the industry rise so quickly as well. Another thing about brand lift, and a big reason as to why people like it so much, is it helps you understand the why behind the what. The what being your typical metrics at the top, different vanity metrics. You've got your reach, you've got your engagements, you might have sales as well. But to put yourself in the shoes where you might have 2 campaigns, both driving great media metrics and only one of them driving sales, you ask yourself, why? Brandlift will help you understand why. But now put yourself in the shoes of someone that's trying to put $10 million into a channel. You can't fly blind. You need to know why, always. Something that we have done with Brandlift, and a thing that's really helped us scale to this point, is helping the influence marketing industry understand the true power of influencer. So here what you can see on the screen are some benchmarks as to just how effective influencer marketing is across the full funnel. And the right-hand side, you'll also see just how much more effective they are to other channels. The most classic ones are your awareness, where you can see that influencer marketing is more than double as effective than other channels. You've got your consideration. Are people moving in market and thinking about buying from your brand? Then you've got action intent. Are they actually going to take action and purchase your products? And then you've got recommendation rates at the end. And you can see across all of that, influencer marketing is more effective. But there's one that stands out massively. If you look at association, it's 5 times more effective. You'll have often heard inside influence marketing, don't script creators, don't tell them what to say. That should be the stat that can help everyone get on board with that. They are 5 times more effective than any other channel at getting people to anchor a certain association with a brand. They understand how to speak to their communities much better than anyone else. Another power to being able to understand the why and the full funnel is it gives you a red thread in your storytelling. When you're trying to understand how a campaign is performed, what's happening, what's not happening, why is it happening, what should we do next? You've got all these different metrics across the board, and it can feel quite overwhelming a lot of the time. So just having something that's not retrofitted but tells you the full funnel allows you to connect those dots between the vanity metrics, the emotion and sentiment metrics, traffic, social signals, any attribution data that you might have. And us having the red thread at this scale gives us conviction behind things that I'm just about to tell you. So, what is the community era? And why is it transforming a $4 trillion marketing industry? You guys ready for a bit of a story? Are you guys ready for a bit of a story? Cool. So, I see 3 eras. First one, mass media era. Think of a speakerphone trying to reach as many people as you can. You had new technologies like the radio, TV. You can now reach masses well beyond just a billboard. In this time, the currency was reach. You wanted to reach as many people as you possibly could, and that defined success. Then you had the launch of the internet. That opened up the personalization era. In this time, you could have a very specific creative targeting a very specific person. This is an era where effectiveness is the currency. And a lot of people think that we're still in this world. And Brandlift, for instance, is a way of measuring effectiveness. So am I shooting myself in the foot by saying that we're no longer in that world? Maybe, but really, in our essence, we're always looking to do better. Just how we didn't just do Brandlift and we act as a growth partner, we are seeing signals that are undeniable. And influencer marketing has been the trigger for this shift. We have moved into the community era. You still need to have an effective ad that is reaching someone. It still has an impact, right? You need to cut through, though. It's a lot harder to cut through these days. And people are becoming more and more apathetic to advertising than ever before. And so they're no longer just looking at effective ads, they're looking towards their community. And when you think about community, influence marketing definitely has a big role in that, but it could also be the comment threads. Think about the amount of times where you have a certain perception of an ad that you're looking at, and then you look at the comment threads and it changes your perception massively, right? In this world, the currency is influence. Now, I didn't come up with this. Actually, BCG wrote a report on this when they were studying how Gymshark scaled. They're fucking smart. And I'm going to tell you a bit of an interesting lens as to why I think now is a time and why this decade is a decade of transition. There's this concept called crossing the chasm. It's this idea of, it's a way to look at adoption of a product in a market. So think of 0% being 0% adoption, all the way to the right being 100% adoption. In a moment, we're going to look at this as the adoption of influencer marketing. On the far left, you've got the innovators, then you go into the early adopters, then you cross that chasm into mainstream. But within that, you still have two sections, early mainstream, late stage mainstream, and laggards. Think of the innovators, the early adopters, as the visionaries, the early mainstream as the skeptics, the pragmatic people, and the laggards, they've got no choice, but they have to follow on. You could think of this now in the lens of influence marketing. Pre-2017, when the industry of influencer marketing was below 2 billion, brands were experimenting with influencers organically. It was sort of an extension of PR. Gymshark started to come to the rise. They're doing over 50 million in turnover. And yet some of the big players now originate influential influencer goats, Billion Dollar Boy, for instance, as well. Going through to the early adopters, there was mass rise in influence marketing. At this point, you had 20,000 influence marketing agencies globally. Mental. 20,000 new companies in that short time frame. The saying that influence marketing as a channel took hold as well. And that was a big role that we played. And I just showed you some benchmarks earlier around how much more effective influencer is to other channels as a channel. And in a second, I'll just show you how actually we need to look beyond that. So we crossed the chasm, and now we are in mainstream. But influencer marketing is now being showed up in other channels. You've got it in out-of-home, TV, billboard. They're everywhere. So it's no longer really a channel, is it? It's more of a strategy, more of an approach. And this is the time, we've got 18 months left, where the world is going to start seeing that the essence of what made influencer marketing successful is their ability to influence communities. Entering to 2027, this is when the creator economy itself will be worth $500 billion. All of advertising will have to evolve, and all channels will adopt a community-first mindset. Measurement will be forced to evolve, and the community era will really take form. Going to laggards, if you haven't adapted, you're left behind. Cool. So what is influence, and how can we drive it? I want to leave you guys with a little bit of insight and hopefully spark some thoughts. I like going to dictionaries for this, so starting off with that. Influence, it's the capacity to have an effect on the character development or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. The capacity to have an effect on the behavior of someone. Another lens that I like to look at from this is the world in which ThisThat has been growing in the last 4 years, brand lift. Brand lift really is a change in brand, right? There's a legend in the industry, David Brewer. If you don't know him, he has won over 300 branding awards. He has done a lot of great work. You should look into him. He defines brand as your brand is the sum of how many people you can influence to take action. Which I absolutely love. And I spoke of the community era as well, and I spoke that influence is the currency in the community era. At ThisThat, we have a belief that brand and community are the exact same thing. We don't want to just help people understand lift. We want to help them understand what drives lift or how to influence it. So this is what I'm going to leave you guys with some thoughts. I'm going to show you with the data that we have conviction as to what is the number one thing to focus on when you're trying to get people to become aware, when you're trying to move them away from awareness to actually considering, when you want them to move from just being in market to actually taking action, and you want them to go from taking action to actively advocating. Are you guys ready? Cool. For today, I'm going to skip on the attention bit. If you want to learn more about attention, speak to our team. We've got a bunch of the team over here. We're going to focus on relevance, persuasion, and love. That's really where it's the connection, where you're looking to influence someone massively. So starting at relevance, you'll have heard this term a lot in the industry. Everyone says that relevance is important. But how the hell do you measure relevance? This is how we do it. We ask 2 questions. One of them is we asked, what do you associate most with this brand? And the second one is then, what's most important to you? And it's the same options. If those 2 are aligned, that means it's relevant to them. And we see that as by far the highest driver of moving someone in market and considering. So when we do our reports for our clients, the things that we look at are what are the key priorities and how do they compare with brand associations? Which associations are the most relevant to consumer priorities? Which associations best drive consideration? And how does relevance drive consideration further? Persuasion. You can have anchored a certain association and now they're in market, but how are you going to get them to buy? And how are you going to get them to buy in a way that sparks a ripple effect? So what we showed with the community era, where you need to be thinking about influence, not just getting them to buy, but getting them to tell their friends as well. We define persuasive messaging as messaging that is agreeable, builds brand affinity, so brand love, and drives action. So we're testing out different brand statements that you'll have in your campaign, and which of these anchor the associations that drove consideration, drive action intent, build brand affinity, and ultimately, which message is the most persuasive. My favorite of all, actually, is love. We measure love through affinity. It's the strongest driver of advocacy, something that people are going to have to get more and more behind. This idea of influence in the world that we're moving into community, what you're looking for are champions, people that are aligned with your brand and are championing that appropriately. So we uncover how to build love, how to build brand preference. How much love do you need for people to actually prefer your brand over others? And not just that, but how to conquer market share from your competition too. These bullets here, I think, are actually very useful just to go through, to really sort of anchor that. We're trying to understand what is the value of love in driving preference and advocacy. How do you rank in your category? Who is the fiercest rival? How do your priorities compare versus your preferrers and those that prefer your rivals? Is there a case to conquer market share from your competition? And if so, how do we do that? And how do you best grow your champions? It's time to lift your influence. Thank you very much, everyone.